On them.
Well, good morning. Like she said, I'm the distance education and instruction librarian, and I've worked, I don't like microphones, I'm not used to using microphones. I've worked in public and academic libraries, so I actually have seen students from being very young to college students, so I have a somewhat different perspective than some people might who have just worked in academic libraries. When we were trying to present or put this presentation together, I started thinking about what it is that educators are concerned about and have issues and lay awake maybe at night thinking about. And I'm sure funding at the top is right there at the top of the list. Assessment, certification, testing, communication with parents, school safety. Funding probably keeps popping right back up there over and over again. But one of the things that we also need to realize, and we need to realize it too at the academic level or at the university level, is we have a new kind of learner. I'm sure you've started to notice this. In this 21st century learner is what they're kind of using as the term. And these 21st century learners, they want to learn collaboratively. They want to learn anytime, any place, at any pace. They want to use the technology that they are used to using. They want to be engaged with that technology. And very significantly, they want to use, they want to be structured. And I'm just, hold on. Oh, I know. Significant studies show that significantly they want their learning to be relevant to their lives. So if they don't see any relevance to their actual lives, they're not as likely to be interested in learning about what it is that we're trying to show them. They want to be able to create, consume, remix, and share the information that they find. They feel like that's something they should be able to do. So what does this mean for you as an educator in learning about Web 2.0 and emerging technologies? Well, first of all, if we hear this term Web 2.0, it's thrown out there all the time, and you're not always 100% sure. I know when I first learned about it, I didn't know what people were talking about. But basically what it is, if you don't know already, is when the internet first came out, we were static consumers, basically, passive consumers of the static information that somebody put out there. We read it. It might have been useful to us. It might not have, but we didn't do anything beyond consume it. Not that it was so difficult to post information on the internet, but you had to know HTML, you had to know some coding, perhaps, and more significantly, I think you had to have have server space somewhere. You had to have access to a computer that could host that web information. So there was a barrier to access. Web 2.0, there virtually is no barrier anymore. Anybody can do it. You don't even have to own a computer. You just have to have access to the internet. You don't need to know HTML. You don't really need to know much of anything other than putting your own personal information in. So the barriers have definitely been lowered. So Web 2.0 is very easy to get into. The other thing about it is it's very collaborative. No longer are you a passive consumer of the content, but you can put the content out there and users can interact with you. You can interact with somebody who has put content out, and more significantly, users of the content can interact with each other. And that's probably the most significant aspect of it. So that collaborative interaction is really a major characteristic of Web 2.0. There is also another characteristic, and it's called mashups. We're not going to talk about mashups today, but it's basically taking technology or information from one tool and information from another tool and mashing them together to create something entirely new. But we're not going to really go into that today. Trying to think. What else? Oh, when I say there's a low entry to barrier to the accessing these Web 2.0 tools, it really can be as simple as commenting on somebody's blog post or posting an evaluation of a book or a movie on Amazon.com. It's that, it sounds like something fancy. It really is that simple. It can be that basic. So let's see. So why do you need to learn Web 2.0 and emerging technologies? You have so many demands on your time. You know, how in the world can you possibly fit more into what you already have to know? There's two reasons why I think you need to know about it. And the first one is disruptive change is happening all the time, every day. You know it, I know it. It's happening. We're going to kind of talk about Twitter, and you'll see it's actually happening in a major way right now all over the world. This disruptive change is going to happen. It's going to happen whether we ignore it or participate in it. So one of the reasons why I would encourage people to learn about Web 2.0 technology is because if you participate in it, you can create your own version or vision of the future, the way you want to create and shape it. And then you can share that vision with your colleagues and your students. The other reason why I think it's important to learn about it, and it's more practical, is that truly, if you have no personal knowledge and experience with using any of these tools, you have no sensible criteria for evaluation. And that includes things like Wikipedia. If you haven't ever used Wikipedia and you just say no Wikipedia, you have no real personal knowledge or basis to say you can't use something like that. And it's fine if you want to say you can't use it, but you've got to have, you've got to have some knowledge of it, why you think it shouldn't be used. Otherwise, you're just blindly accepting or rejecting something without any evaluation or analysis, and we wouldn't want our students to do that, so we shouldn't do that either. So, and the one thing about these tools and these resources is you really have to try using them yourself. That's the only way you're really going to get a sense of what they can and can't do. So those are the two things. Change is going to happen whether we participate or not, and we need to be able to critically analyze and have some reason for why we accept or reject this technology, especially when the students want to use it. Are our students more tech savvy than we are? Maybe. I mean, that's the truth. Some of them may be. But what we're finding is really, truly, their knowledge is surface deep. They don't really have a lot of deep knowledge, not only about the technology, but also the content. So obviously, you all have content knowledge to teach them. They also need to learn how to analyze and evaluate the information that they're finding. And they need to learn how to create and find appropriate information. So we know there's a lot of junk out there, so we need to teach them. And what is that basically? That's critical thinking. And so I think with the Web 2.0 technologies that they're going to want to use, we can learn how to use them ourselves and then teach them how to evaluate and use them critically and appropriately. So what are we going to do here today? We're going to talk to you about some of the current tools and resources that are out there right now. And along the way, if we don't mention them, we have created a Delicious bibliography, an online bibliography, and you will learn more about Delicious if you don't know about it already. So we're going to, in our bibliography, we've tried to pinpoint and tag some sites of educators, how educators are using some of these technologies, both as professionals and as teachers. So to further your own personal professional development and how you can use it in the classroom, and to show you, point you in the direction of some of these people who are doing that, because there's definitely some leaders out there who are trying these things. And that's the beauty of the collaborative and interactive nature of Web 2.0, is you can share, just like you're doing here, with each other what's working, what's not working, and get some good ideas from each other. So that's what we're going to do here today. Let me see if I can bring this around. And somehow I've locked this keyboard out, so it's in the way. Can you fix it? Otherwise, I'll just reach.
What?
The keyboard's locked out.
Oh, why don't you just
Push on the. That's all right.
There's little buttons on the side.
Oh. Okay. So I can use the online technology, but not the physical. Okay, so what we were showing you before was a YouTube video, and if you haven't heard of YouTube, I'd be surprised. You may not have used YouTube. I haven't used it that much myself, but my 6-year-old daughter and my dad like to use it, so I figure most people have heard of it. I know. They're always over there looking at funny things. Before YouTube came along, it actually was rather difficult to post video on the internet, and I don't know if you ever saw it, but when it did post, it was about, this big. Not that it's huge now, but it's not this big anymore, and very much more high quality sometimes. So now you know, though, if anybody with a camera can post anything on the internet. So we definitely have jumped that hurdle of difficulty of posting video. You don't need a personal account to search YouTube, but you do if you want to tag things as favorites or upload video. And now I know I'm talking about YouTube, and I know that a lot of school districts block it. So there are a couple of websites that I bookmarked. One of them in particular is called NeoK. Oops, can't type today. NeoK12.com. The problem with this is one that CSO is 100% kid-safe website, so you could actually send kids there and they could search for YouTube videos themselves. The problem is they're still coming from YouTube, so if it's blocked, it's still not going to play. And it can be blocked for one of two reasons, is my understanding, and it's not only just the content that they might come across, but it's the bandwidth. So I think that's often a problem. But this one does give you video sites blocked at school. Click for help. It gives you a workaround so you can download them. So there's a lot of that kind of information out there. You still do need to check with your school district's acceptable use policy and make sure it's still okay. But just so you know, there are ways to get to YouTube videos, and you can see covering all sorts of different types of things. I don't know if any of you have ever looked, but there's lesson plans, and there's songs, and there's school group projects that have been filmed and put on YouTube. Now that's a concern. There's privacy issues, of course, too. And you can lock your videos down, I think, so not everybody can look at them. But that's something in all of these Web 2.0 technologies, we'll keep talking about that. Privacy is always going to be an issue. So you do need to keep that in mind. But that's part of that sensible, or that's part of that appropriateness that we have to learn about. So this is a good one, and like I said, I've bookmarked that on the delicious bibliography. When you go into YouTube, you can, if you create a personal account, and I wouldn't probably send students here and start searching through it. It's just something you should do on your own and find things, because you need to. There is a lot of strange material out there. Not even all bad, just strange. But you can subscribe to these different feeds and these different channels. And this is the TeacherTube. It's a channel. You can either go right to the website or you can subscribe to the website. What's nice about subscribing to it is that every time you go in there, you'll see the new content that's been added. So that's kind of nice. You can see I subscribe to a bunch of different things. The Library of Congress has a channel, and they have films. They have experts. You can hear experts. It's amazing now. You can hear very famous people talk, lectures that you could never go to before, maybe just because they were in another part of the country. But it's really interesting, so your students can hear lectures from famous people. This is the JFK Library. So here's some really great resources and databases that they've uploaded, contemporary and historical information. In this broadcast, actually, this lecture right now today is being taped, and it's going to be on CC's channel. So a lot of schools and universities will have these channels, these special libraries and archives. The Folger Library they've got some interesting ones, and they've got students acting, and then they talk about, this one is about arms and armor in Shakespeare's time. So there's a lot of insomnia and time of Shakespeare. There's lots of good information out there. Ferris has a channel that I bookmarked as well. So it's pretty basic. If you want to upload, there's lots of information on how to do that on the internet. But you could, like I said, so there's lots of good lesson plans and information out there. Let's see. Like demonstrations, lessons, songs, student projects, PowerPoints, photos, and audio. Let's see. So we kind of mentioned this is video, and if you are interested in images, there's a site, if I can spell it, called Flickr. I don't know if how many of you have ever heard of Flickr. Flickr's one. There's more than just Flickr, but there's also PhotoBucket. But Flickr's probably the biggest. And Flickr embodies just about everything about Web 2.0 that you can imagine. This is a place you can see 5,008 photos were uploaded in the last minute to Flickr. So it's very popular and very dynamic. You don't need an account to search Flickr, but you do need an account to download images or to upload images and to tag images. And why might you want to upload images? I don't know if you have a particular set of images you use over and over again in your classes. You might want to upload them here because you can tag them in multiple ways and very easily organize and use them in your lessons if you do use images. The other thing is this mashups that I mentioned. A lot of times, because they pull from different resources and tools, they'll pull from Flickr. So you can add captions and make fun signs and things. So if you have images you use, if they're in Flickr, you'll be able to use them much more easily. So because they're already online somewhere that can reach in and grab them out of there. So. And you can lock those down so that nobody else can see them if you want. But the point of Flickr is supposed to be that you are sharing. You can search here at the search box, but I want to show you something that's interesting. If you click on the search button and then you click on advanced search, you can see down here there's something called Creative Commons. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Creative Commons, but that's basically people are giving you the right to use their images. There's 4 different Creative Commons licenses, but the 2 most common I would say are the ones that say you may use my image as long as you credit me as the creator, and the other one that says you may use my image, you may change it or edit it, but you still have to credit me as the original user. There's 2 others, but I don't think those are as common. So if you click on only search with Creative Commons, and then you go up here, you'll notice that there's search boxes up here. It does default to a safe search, although I'm not seeing that. It's a modified safe search. I wouldn't say it's completely safe. Once again, you may want to do this with on your own and not live in the classroom before you know what kind of results you're going to get. But it's probably always a safe bet to try it first. But anyway, if you search for something in Creative Commons, when you find it, you know you can use it in your classroom. And that's kind of a nice, you don't have to worry about that. If you can't find what you're looking for in the Creative Commons, you can always search. And if you find something you like, and it's not covered with the Creative Commons license, the beauty of Web 2.0 is you should be able to contact the creator, tell them why you want to use it, and they may give you permission to. And that's the one thing that's really neat about that interaction is you can contact just about anybody out there. So you can interact with anybody as long as they respond to you. So as I told you, I was a public librarian, and I don't know about everywhere else, but I worked at the Byron Township Public Library and Byron Center, and we had every year an assignment on Michigan lighthouses. And there were never enough books, no matter what we did, because I think every 4th grader in the entire city had to do, all the schools had, public and private, had to do Michigan lighthouses. So if I type in Michigan lighthouses, I get 3,460 results, and these are all Creative Commons. Now, these are just images, I grant you, but sometimes that's what they need. They almost always need a picture, and and some of them are, there's no guarantee you're going to find exactly what you're looking for here, but these are good pictures. These are good pictures, and if you sign in, which I'm going to do with my account. And now I got to search again. I think. Let's see. Where's my advanced search? Sorry about that. Once you log in, you can see that you can do a little bit more. Oh, I didn't do the Creative Commons. So see, I got 23,000 results that time. So that's why I said if you don't find what you're looking for with the Creative Commons, do a search without, and you may find what you're looking for, and then you may be able to get permission. But by clicking on this picture, I can go in, I can see what other people have said. And sometimes what other people have said is very interesting. Sometimes it's really idiotic, but take that with a grain of salt. But here's what I wanted to show you. See where it says all sizes? I can click on that all sizes, and now I can download the original size, which is probably the best bet, or I can download it in some different sizes, depending on what I want to do with it. So, now granted, that might not have been covered under a creative license. That doesn't keep people from being able to download an image. It just means that you have permission from them already without asking to use it. So that's one of the things that's very, I tried it. We went to Australia a few years ago, so I was looking up Australian fairy penguins and cassowaries, which is the scariest bird you've ever seen. And there were pictures under Creative Commons, so I mean, if you were doing a unit on, animals in Australia, those students could go in there and find some really great pictures of some animals that I think would, as a librarian, I know would be hard for me to find for them in any other resource. So that's what's really interesting about that. The other thing that I'm personally very excited about is if you click under Explore, and this is all in your online bibliography on Delicious, you can go to this thing down here called the Commons. It's kind of confusing because I just talked about Creative Commons, and now I'm going to talk about something else called the Commons. The Commons is a project that was started by the Library of Congress. There are all these libraries and archives and institutions out there with huge image collections, and they're very hard to find. They're very hard to search. They haven't all been cataloged, so they're not really being utilized the way they should. So they've started putting them on Flickr. So Eastman, you got Oregon State, you have National Gallery of Scotland, so this isn't even limited to the United States. The Library of Congress, like I said, is they started it. New York Public Library, the Smithsonian. I know there's a collection from Sweden, New Zealand. There's collections from all over. And these are good resources for students to use. These are, credible primary resources for students and for you to use. So it's exciting to me that they're doing that. And I'm going to try to find one. I got some favorites marked so I can go right into this one. This set is fascinating. It's from the Library of Congress. And they took pictures in color from the 30s and the 40s. And we're so used to not seeing pictures from that time period in color. But one of the things that all these libraries and institutions are trying to do is not only to put their images up there to be used, but is to invite people to comment, maybe help tell the story. There's a picture of a train wreck, and people have gone out and found that information on that train wreck, posted it in those comment sections, so you can see the image of the train wreck, and then you can read a story that somebody had found about it and told, or a website. And these pictures are fascinating, aren't they? We never get to see color pictures from the 30s and the 40s. And while black and white is very evocative, the color is really, I think it's very exciting. So that's the kind of thing that you can find in Flickr. If for no other reason, you can look at the commons and the institutional photos that have been put in here. No, they're original. They took them, and that's one thing that's really nice about these. So if I just click into one of them, I'll show you down here. You can see all the provenance information, who took it, the notes. So the Farm Security Administration or the OWI took those, and they'll tell you that they were original format. They were color slides. So no known restrictions on publication, and then they tell you the repository, they were part of the Farm Security, so they give you lots of good information, more information on the whole collection. And if you are interested in using these types of things, this persistent URL, if you click on that, that actually takes you to the Library of Congress. That's where you can get the best resolution of the picture. It's not going there right now, taking too long. Now, one thing I'll show you, and like I said, this is where some of the idiotic comments can come in too, but some of the interesting things. When you bring up the picture like this, you can see these little boxes come up, and people have made, sometimes inappropriate comments, which you can flag things, but like people are still making this mistake. Well, I was curious what this mistake was, so I went to all sizes. I was curious what it was. And it's we cut while you're waiting, the wrong version of your. So, but it's a very interesting picture, isn't it? So So people, but sometimes these comments aren't, they're not always silly and ridiculous and inappropriate. They are very often helpful comments. And like I said, people are posting to stories. And very interesting set. Personally, I find it really interesting. So people have said, you know, like I said, some of it's inappropriate, and that's the problem. But some of it is interesting. This one is not. But this one, when you're coming into an institution like this, they'll always tell you where these things are coming from, so you'll know a lot. And they'll give you original notes that are in there and a lot of good information. So there's one I found, and I won't show it to you, I won't take the time, but the person found a picture from 1910, and then they found a contemporary picture on Flickr, both of them, taken from the exact same angle. You can pull those two pictures up and see how things have changed since 1910. It's really interesting. And I think you could really use these in a class project, even just, you know, show it, give them an image and say, what does this tell you about this time period or something like that. But there's a lot of this in here. So I would encourage you to try using Flickr. If you don't even, you know, even if you don't use it for anything else, I find I'm very excited that these things are now accessible. And they're excited too. So they're getting a lot more use than they ever did sitting in Washington, D.C. And even on their own website. They were on their own website, but they weren't getting the kind of use that they're getting now. So that's Flickr and that's YouTube. That's my portion of the images. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mari.
Hi, I'm Mari Kermit Canfield, and I'm quite short, so when I go over here, you're not going to get to see me. So I'll talk to you from here for now. I get to talk to us about kind of finding and saving information while we're doing research. So as a group, let's kind of like visualize going back in time, okay? So when you used to do research for a project when you were in school or maybe in college, what did you do? Where did you go? The library. Okay. And you probably went and you looked in the card catalog and you were looking for your thing and you were looking for your thing and you couldn't find it because you didn't know what to look under. And what happens with libraries, and now too, is a bunch of librarians sit around very carefully, they're very serious, and they think, I have this concept. How am I going to describe this? And they make up an official term to describe a concept or a person or like a geographic area, anything. They come up with an official term, and then everything that kind of fits into that category gets stuck in that category. And something might have several categories, but they were all made up by those librarians. And the librarians are, you know, they're very serious. And this is great. So, but when you went to the library, you spent a lot of time trying to kind of lock your thinking into what the librarian was thinking. And then once you figured it out, you could find a whole bunch of stuff, right? So who had that? Who spent forever trying to find something? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to show you the current Ferris catalog, which still works in kind of the same way. Like that, there are still librarians making up these things. And again, this is just our school's library catalog. Most of our electronic catalogs look like this now. Come on. There we go. All right. This is our library where we work. And this is our library catalog. And whatever I look up, you can imagine the card catalog right now. Okay. I'm looking up ospreys. And this is just a quirk of our catalog. To look at what we own, we have to click here. Okay. So I'm not actually finding any books that are just on ospreys, right? But I'm finding this Field Guide to Birds of North America. That looks pretty on topic. And they do have a section on osprey. And it turns out that my subject heading, which is that way that the librarians decided to describe this, is Birds North America identification. And once I know that, I can click here or in the card catalog, go scurry to that subject and find it. And it looks like we actually own quite a bit. Some of this is it. These are all the Ferris collection. Okay? So this is how we used to find things. We would look for something, and then we would figure out that official category it belonged in, and then we would go look at the category, and we'd find a bunch more. And then the internet came along, and we all started searching, probably with an old search program like Alta Vista or Yahoo, and now we all use Google. So I'll run my search here. This is the Google search box. And I search and I search, and I'm finding pictures that are pretty awesome, some of which might be in the Creative Commons, who knows. And I find this really great website from Cornell. So we know it's a pretty authoritative website. It comes from an important school. It's from their lab of ornithology, you know. And I might want to show this to my students later for my bird class. Come on. Poor computer is chugging away. Let's try this, a different one. All right, we'll do this for right now. Encyclopedia Britannica, whatever the website is, I find it. Looks great, looks authoritative, so I'm gonna bookmark it. And I bookmark this page. And then it would, you know, I could save it wherever I wanted to in my bookmarks. And that's great. I have this. It's saved. But what happens if I'm doing this search at home, and then I want to go to school, and I want to demonstrate this page or show this page or give it to a student who's really interested in this subject, and but I can't remember it. I can't remember what I searched for. I can't remember what the web page was. I can't really find it. It's a problem. Luckily, we have a great new tool, and it's called social bookmarking. So social bookmarking, here's our official definition, is a method for internet users to store, organize, search, manage, and share bookmarks of web pages on the internet. Okay? So the most common of these is called delicious.com. I can't spell. Right. And this is what we've been talking about over and over and over when we talk about Delicious. Delicious is social bookmarking. It allows you to save your own bookmarks. So if you haven't signed up before, you can. It's free. It's easy. You'll give it your information. You'll prove you're a person. It has a great toolbar that you can download that I highly recommend you put on your personal computer. That it'll put a little button up here. And as you're surfing, as you see something interesting, you can just click the button and it adds it right to your Delicious account. And you can even import your existing bookmarks from your Firefox collection or whatever you've been using that you've been saving. And I think you could run it twice, once from home, once from work. But I'm going to log in as myself here. Okay. And I'm going to go back and get that bird site. See if Cornell will let me do it now. I guess they're really popular today. That's the same one. All right. So I'm here on BirdWeb. I'm copying. This is the address for the website. It's like its street address. And I come back to Delicious and I say, save a new bookmark. And I can copy that URL in here. Come on. Must not have copied it. Okay. Now this is the part that's really exciting about Delicious. Not only are you freed from the constraints of your immobile computer that can't go with you unless you have a laptop, but you also get to free yourself from those predetermined librarian-made tags that describe everything. Okay, those are great. They really do help organize information, especially when it's a new topic for yourself or whatever it is. The librarians are very serious and very knowledgeable. But maybe that wasn't what you searched for. Maybe you wanted something more specific than birds of North America identification. Or maybe you want to describe all birds as flying beings, or whatever you choose. You get to decide on those subject headings for yourself. And these are called tags. And people have been using these a little bit, okay? You can make up whatever you want. I always try to make up a combination of something that sounds pretty official, so that I am kind of having something in common with other people who are interested in the same thing, and then I might make up something personal to describe it for myself. So in this case, I'm going to say osprey, ospreys, ornithology. Did I spell that right? Bird. And you can see it knows that I've saved other things on birds before. So I can say, yeah, I do want birds. I also want bird. Maybe I want my flying beings. And maybe this is for my 8th grade bio class. So I can say Kermit, bio, 8th, 09. Okay, so I've got a whole bunch of tags here. I've got a bunch that seem pretty official: osprey, ospreys, ornithology, birds. Something that just makes sense to me in case I'm looking through this again later. And then I've got this like tag that is so personal that probably nobody has ever made this tag up before, ever, right? And it can be anything I want. And I save this. And it adds it to my bookmark page on Delicious. So here are a bunch of things that I have been interested in. They're in reverse chronological order. You can see I've been using it for a long time. I have a whole bunch. And then I have a list of all my tags. Okay, so as I've been searching and searching the internet the past year or so, I've been tagging things like crazy. And so it tells me, which things have more. You could tell I like to cook, I guess. So I could pick let's say I was trying to remember, I had a dessert recipe. I thought it was pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, I have a dessert category. Okay, so I click here on my tags. And I can choose a related tag if I want. So I could say caramel, because I like caramel a lot. So this is something I saved in the past. Apple cider caramel. Okay, so I see I'm in my bookmarks, dessert, and caramel. And here's my bookmark, and I could click right here, and it'll go right there. And again, from anywhere. And you can see I had a whole bunch of tags for this: recipe, candy, dessert, caramel. I guess I could have put sugar. Okay, and if I choose one of these, let me also show you. You can also see your tags as a tag cloud. So this is just a graphical representation of things you're interested in. Things that are more important are bigger and darker. So like knitting and recipes for me. Web 2.0, pretty important for me. These are my tags. Okay. But if I clicked here on dessert, I'm still in my bookmarks right now, but I can also go look at all the bookmarks with dessert that are popular. Okay, so this is everybody's bookmarks. These are the most popular desserts that are bookmarked on Delicious. I know it's like a couple hours till lunch still, but Okay. You can also, this is really neat, you can also see the more recent ones, so if there's new desserts, pretty exciting. I also have a network of friends who use Delicious, and some of these people are librarians, and some of them are just friends. They actually we save a lot of cooking stuff for each other. But if I clicked here on network, I could do my dessert tag here. So these are my friends' favorite dessert recipes. And when I'm actually looking at my bookmarks, if I want to, let's say I thought my friend Andrew, who is a chemistry librarian, would be really interested in my bird web thing. He's going to be really confused later on today. But I could say for, and again, it remembers your tag, so you only have to make this up once. This is my friend Andrew, chemistry librarian in Connecticut. So now, when he logs into Delicious, he can come here to his mail. And these are things that that people thought he would be interested in too. Okay? This is mine, but he would have his own. And if I do find a user who is interested in something similar, okay, so like this guy, this is this guy's bookmarks, and I guess he's a programmer, but if he was a bird enthusiast, he might have saved a whole bunch, and you can see all of his tags. You know, so if you're, let's see what his ornithology tags are. I guess I'm looking at all of them. I don't know, reference. Okay. So I can find somebody whose interests are really similar to mine, or research interests are really similar to mine, or maybe another teacher or instructor who teaches the same subject that I do. And I could come and see what they've been bookmarking to see what's interesting, and I can sort it by their tags and find all sorts of things like that. If you keep your own website, if you wanted to, you could search for the URL here, and it would show you how popular your website was, how many people have bookmarked it. And if you're looking through a whole lot of bookmarks, you can also look at the most popular in any tag, for any tag, and see what's going on there, and see what are the most important options for that tag. There are some great ways to use this with students. One is that if you want, you don't have to give them like a reading list or copies of all the reading anymore. You could create a Delicious account and make one of those really personalized tags for your class. And then you could send them the Delicious link and tell them which tag to look for, and all their readings could be there, bookmarked and then tagged to be appropriate for your class. So that could be your reading list, which is exactly what we have done for you today. In the spirit of Web 2.0, we did not print a bibliography. We just came to Delicious, and we made an account. So, let's see. Our account is called Ferris Ref. All right. So you can see we have a tag for you here, the Michigan Teachers Academy. Because we do use this for other library things, but this is your tag, so these are all things that we thought overall were really interesting and appropriate for our topics. And you can see we have a lot of sub-tags for that. And we also created these specific tags on each topic. So if you wanted to read more about Delicious or blogs in this case, you could come look here and get all of the reading that we've saved that we thought was interesting. We encourage you to join Delicious and then to friend the Ferris Ref account and put it in your network, and then you can save all these bookmarks into your own bookmark collection, and if you find something cool, then you can tag it for us. You could say for Ferris Ref, and then all your peers who are sitting around you will have access to all those things that you thought were interesting in the future. Because we know that this is a really kind of visual demonstration of a really hands-on tool. And we want to give you an opportunity to take this out of this room and actually participate in these really awesome interactive technologies. The other great idea to use this with students is to ask them to create their own Delicious accounts. And then often part of student research at any level is actually finding those materials that they're going to use for their projects. So they can, you can say, I need you to find 5 really authoritative and appropriate web sources, and please tag them on Delicious for me, for my account, and with that personalized class tag. And then all that your students would have access to see what all the other students were looking at. and maybe they would be able to find something useful or critique each other's sources based on what was available. And just another note is that all these tags, this concept of tags, is all over the place on the web. People tag their blog entries, which makes them searchable in Google, and Flickr, which we were just looking at. And going back to your, is this one okay? Okay. So you can see that concept of tags is just really common. So people have been tagging all their Flickr images, and sometimes the tags will pop up those little boxes that Stacy was showing, which might help you identify something in the picture in this case, or identify an appropriate blog entry, or whatever you want. But this concept is really important. And of course, if you wanted to, you could bookmark this picture on Twitter and be able to find it later or share it with somebody. Something like that. Are there any questions about Delicious or social bookmarking? Yeah? Yeah? No?
We were wondering, can we see, like, I was wondering, can we see Barack Obama's Click Delicious bookmarks?
I don't know if he has an account.
Well, I mean, can we see anybody's?
Well, only if they've created one.
Well, obviously, but anybody that has created one, we can see anybody's bookmarks.
You are able to make your bookmark collection private, or you can choose certain bookmarks to be private. So maybe if you didn't want your students to see everything you were interested in.
Well, what about if we didn't want our students to see everything that the weird guy down the street's looking at?
I can't help you with that. You might want to help your students understand using appropriate sources and discretion.
But do you not understand what I'm saying? I think you have to be a friend.
No. If their bookmark collection is open, if it's not kept as private, then yes, you can.
So students could see other people's bookmarks that we might want to, as parents, be careful about.
Yes.
Teachers, be careful about.
Yeah. So Stacy's concept of always looking at something ahead of time before you show them. It's true. This is open information. That's what Web 2.0 works as. But if they were researching chemistry, a chemistry topic, then the chances of them running into something bizarre in that particular setting would be, I would imagine, difficult. Right. You might, if you were showing somebody a specific Delicious user's account, you could select somebody that was, an authority in the field, a generally reasonable person. You can't, I understand this issue, but when you're doing research of any sort, it's very easy to run into interesting materials all over the place, whether you're in the library or whether you're on the internet. And if your school does have some kind of firewall or blocks, some of the more interesting terms that students might be looking for, then they wouldn't be able to get out of Delicious to those web pages. They would be able to see that they were bookmarked, but they wouldn't be able to bounce out to them because they would be blocked on that end. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah?
How do you make your list private?
I haven't actually tried it myself. Settings.
Actually, when you go to bookmarking, it's right there.
Okay. So I should bookmark this.
See right there,
Do not share. Okay, and you can batch edit all your tags. So, if you were keeping a Delicious account and then you decided to move to sharing some of it with students, then you could go batch edit everything that was, Art Nouveau. You could batch edit all of it. And then they wouldn't be able to see your collection on that. They would still be able to see somebody else's collection. But again, that's that concept of, information is available and we apply discretion and teach our students discretion, hopefully. Then, does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So again, we really do hope that you will friend us, and in this case, that you will add us to your network and participate in saving all these materials with us. Again, the concept of Web 2.0 is that like those librarians and authorities just aren't in charge anymore. It's it's everybody. You can see even the government isn't hosting their own materials in their own place anymore. They're using this public tool on Flickr, and we can all collaborate to create access to a whole variety of things that we wouldn't be able to find in the past.
All right. Well, I'm Emily Mitchell, and I am not at all used to microphones. So what I wanted to talk to you guys first about today is blogs, actually. Blogs are a really great, easy way for you to share your thoughts online. It's just, you don't have to know any HTML. You don't have to know much of anything about computers. If you can type, you can keep a blog, and you can put your thoughts and ideas out there on the web for anyone to see. Again, there are privacy settings for blogs, and I'll talk about them later. Before we do much else, I wanted to just show you a blog, and this is a blog that I looked up a couple days ago, and just to get a sense of how you can recognize that a website is a blog. So this is a guy who is a teacher in New York City, and you can see that this is a blog because you see a date here, so it says Thursday, June 18th. He updates pretty much every day, and then you've got a title and like a little article thing. If you scroll down some more, you'll see a post from Wednesday, and it's a totally separate article. You keep scrolling down, and you'll get to older and older things that this guy has posted. And that is, in a nutshell, how you can recognize that something is a blog. Now, blogs are really great ways to, as I said, share your thoughts and ideas. They're also a way to pick up on other teachers' thoughts and ideas. So, I just did a Google search to turn up this guy who's a teacher in New York City. You can search for education and blogs. You can search for whatever you're interested and blogs. See what you get. Look at a few of them. A lot of them are really great. Another thing I did want to show you was how easy it is to create your own blog. And there are a couple of sites where you can do this. Pretty much they're all free. A big one is WordPress.com. I'm actually going to show you Blogger.com because I like its interface better. Before you can create a blog on Blogger, you do need to create yourself a Google account. So if you just go to google.com and go to sign in, say you don't have an account, and you can just fill out all of this, get yourself a free account with Google, and you'll be ready to go. So I'm going to head over to Blogger, and I'm going to log in. Hopefully I typed that right. And you can see this is what they call my dashboard. So you can see here all the blogs that I am an author on, and one blog can have many authors, and one author, as you can see from mine, can have many blogs. So if I wanted to look at one of my blogs, I could just click View Blog. If I want to add a post, I can click New Post. I actually wanted to create a blog right here, right now, just to show you how easy this can be. So I'm going to click Create a Blog. We'll call it Teacher Academy because I'm feeling creative. And this address, if it is available, it is. This would be then the address that you would send someone to if you wanted to link them to your blog to tell them to read it. Now I just have to prove that I am a human being, which hopefully I can do. And I'm already on to picking how I want my blog to look. So I can choose to have my blog look like that. I can choose to have a black background. I like this one. Continue. I just made a blog. To put a post in it, I click Start Blogging. I've got a title. Yes, you can tell I'm a programmer because I just wrote Hello World. And now I want to view my blog. And just like that, I've just posted my first post to a blog that now anyone can come along and read. There are ways to set your privacy in Blogger. I know that my private blogs, my personal blogs, I have them locked down so that only people I invite to read them can read them. If you were keeping something like a professional blog about professional interests, you might want to leave that open to everyone. I'll talk about that a little more in a couple of seconds. But there are a lot of things that you can do with a blog. You can use it for professional interests, or, if you just want to have a way to get in touch with maybe students' parents, or if you have older students, the students themselves, and say, this is what we're doing today, and by the way, the test is on Friday. Now you know. It doesn't have to be anything deep, doesn't have to be anything written in beautiful lyrical prose. The idea here is just to share your thoughts. So, I lost my train of thought. As I mentioned before when we were looking at the New York City Educators blog, a lot of people do keep blogs on professional subjects, and this is a great way to keep current on what is going on in the field. You can find blogs about really specific things if you just want to read about special education for kindergartners. I'm sure there's probably a blog about that. And you get a community of other people interested in the same topic who are all reading these blogs, because who else would be reading that blog? And then you get people commenting on blogs, which is another great trait of blogs. So if I scroll down to the bottom of any post, and this guy doesn't call it commenting, he calls it letters or letters in file. But I can read what other people said about this post, and if I want to say something myself, I can type in my name, my email address. If I have a website, I can put that there. And then I can type a comment, hey, this is great, but have you considered something else? I can post a link there to a site that supports what this guy was saying. I can post a link that links to information that I really wish he would have considered but didn't. And you can get a lot of really great conversations going in the comments of blogs. So sometimes you can learn as much or more from the comments as you can from reading the blogs themselves. Reading the blogs, though, is such a better way of keeping current with professional journals, well, not journals, professional issues, than reading the journals, because admittedly I focus more on library journals than teacher journals, but you've got to admit a lot of these articles are pretty dry, pretty long, not really what I want to be reading when I go home after work. Blog entries tend to be short, they tend to be informally written. If you're bored with it, skip it, move on. If you're interested in it, a lot of times there will be links to further reading, or you can just end up doing your own research. So all of this is really great, and I encourage you to search for blogs and find as many blogs as you can that you're really interested in. But reading all these blogs kind of takes a long time, and even if you bookmark them all on something awesome like Delicious, you never know exactly when they're going to update these blogs. Some people are pretty regular about it, like this guy who updates every day. Some people post in their blog once a week or twice a week if they feel like it, and you don't want to be going there and checking that when there's nothing there, because that's a huge waste of time. So fortunately for us, there is a solution, and better yet, we can use the same username and password we used to create our Blogger blog to get into Google Reader. So I'm going here to google.com/reader, and I did bookmark this. Am I already logged in? I am. Oh, because I never logged out of Blogger. I did bookmark Google Reader on our Delicious that we're telling you all to go to get all these links. And so what you can see here is a collection of all the blogs that I read and some webcomics, because I like webcomics too. And I just logged in, and it's telling me which of these sites have something new that I want to read today. So here in the middle, it's telling me that PhD Comics has something new and that TechCrunch has something new. I usually kind of ignore that and just go over here where you can see TechCrunch is highlighted. That's a blog about web technologies. It's good stuff. And if I click on it, I can read the posts right here. So if I knew what Demdex was, sometimes this blog is better than others, I might be really interested, and I can read this right here in Google Reader without having to type in the address or link to it or anything. And Google Reader keeps track of what I've read, so you can see if I scroll down past something, it assumes that I've read it, and it'll say, oh, now there are only 10 new items because you read 2. Next time I log in, maybe one of the other blogs will have updated, maybe it won't have, but I'll know either way without having to go all over the web looking for it. Now, another great thing with Google Reader, I'm a huge fan of Google Reader in case you can't tell, you can organize all of your blogs that you follow into categories so that if I don't want you to know what's in my folder of stuff that I read just for fun and not professionally, I can close that up and you don't even have to look at it. But up here we've got just stuff I read that's pretty much work-related. Here we've got a section that's just my friends who keep blogs that I want to keep on top of what's going on with them. Also, in speaking of friends, up here, we've got friends shared items. So like with Delicious, I can see what my friends are looking at if they choose to share it. So this one here is my sister. And my sister thinks that her friends might be interested in the 100 best Google Map mashups. You can tell that this Web 2.0 stuff is kind of a big deal in my family. We're all geeks. But it's a lot of fun being able to see what my sister is reading and thinks is great, and I can share anything that I read. Say, hey, you might be interested in this. Oh, I should show you how to add a subscription. Wouldn't that be nice? We'll go back over here to this blog, and you can see I'm just going to copy the address up here in the bar. Copy. And then I come over here to Google Reader, and to add it so that I'll know every time it's updated from now on, all I have to do is add a subscription over here, paste that in, I'm going to click Add, and here it is right here. It shows up at the bottom of my list, and I can say, hey, that's kind of library related, and move it up there so it's in that folder. And that's all it takes, just to keep on top of this stuff and keep it organized and know when there's something new that you want to read. Was there anything else I was going to talk about? Do you guys remember? No? Well, then I'm going to hand you off again to Mari. I think we should probably save questions for the end just in case there's a time issue. I'm not sure. But if you have something urgent, I would love to answer it.
So blogs, like Emily is showing you, blogs are a great way to kind of keep up with what's going on, right? You can keep up with other educators or people that are interested in your hobbies or the news. There's a lot of news blogs. And they're great and they tend to be really timely, but what if you want up-to-the-minute information, like instant? What's going on right now? We have one final fantastic tool for you. And this one's a hot button. What? We have 2 more tools for you, but this is my last one. This is called Twitter. Everybody has been hearing about Twitter? Yes? Who hasn't heard about Twitter? All right. Well, I'm going to show you anyway. Okay. Twitter is a free social networking and microblogging service. So it's like blogs. They're updated regularly. They're current, but it's tiny little blogs. Tiny. In fact, they're only 140 characters, which is about the same amount that your average cell phone can post. And they enable users to send and read each other's updates, known as tweets for Twitter. And again, those tweets are 140 characters, and you can send them either via the website or using a phone. Okay, and this is where it gets exciting. So who heard the NPR article on Twitter this morning? Yes? Okay. So Twitter is exciting. And again, you can join if you want. You'll make up a username and a password, and you'll prove you're a person. I'm going to sign in as our Flight Library Twitter. Okay. So Twitter lets you keep up with people and with current topics. So right now, this is a huge deal. The Iran election is like a very hot-button political issue. People aren't being allowed to share information about what's really going on in Iran. So they weren't. The government was getting really good about shutting down websites and shutting down all the media sources that were available. And people figured out, I can still get information out to the rest of the world. I can tweet. So everybody is using this, and this is our tag. This is what a tag looks like in Twitter for Iran election. And it is hot topic, okay? So people were sneaking out their tweets to share information about what was going on, and then the rest of the world, which is following this, really hot button issue, is commenting. And as we tweet, which is just like updating that blog that Emily did, only short, if we want to talk about this topic or some other topic, we can tag it by using the pound sign. And I'm not actually going to tweet on it because I don't want to clog up this topic any more than it is because it's pretty clogged up. But then, so if you're following like really, really current events, you can search for this. And you can do it over and over, and you can see it gets updated really quickly. We're trying to disseminate the information back into Iran via Twitter. Okay? So, very hot. Very, very hot. If I'm back here, this is our Twitter Flight Library homepage. You can see, I hope you will give Delicious a chance. Time Magazine, we're following their Twitter. It's a cheapskate blog for cheap foods. The Library of Congress is capturing tweets on the nomination. I think this is another Iran thing.
Supreme Court.
Oh, I'm silly. This is just something random. This is a Korean barbecue taco truck in LA. They never say where they're going to be unless you're on Twitter, and then you can figure out, apparently they're really, really popular, and there would be hundreds of people trying to get to this taco truck, so... So they tweet where they're going to be, and then people rush there, in the middle of the night. This is Alice Hoffman, who is the author of a famous novel called Practical Magic, and she wrote Here on Earth, which I think was an Oprah book club book. She just had a new book out that's highly acclaimed, and she is tweeting tiny little beautiful stories from her book. So if you were reading a lot of authors and important people of various sorts, or keep a Twitter, and if you're researching her, or reading a book by her or somebody else, some other contemporary author with your students, you could follow them on Twitter and see what they're actually up to these days. She's really into it. Is it Kobe who's really... no, the basketball player. Kobe Bryant is, he tweets all the time about his, exercise regime and what he's eating, which might be more interesting to an elementary school age boy than I'm interested in. So I can tweet all the time. And all of my friends get this tweet, okay? And you can set it so it goes straight to your cell phone. And we hope that you will join Twitter and add us as Flight Library. And when you tweet, it will show up on our updates page. And if you want to tweet at somebody, so I'll tweet at myself. So this is something that I don't care if anybody reads it, but it's specifically intended for this person. Okay. Then if I were to go look at my own feed, It hasn't actually updated yet, but it will. It will. It can take a minute. Then it will send that to your tweet page, and it will send it to your phone. And you can also send a private message, which is a DM. And then you could actually say something private, or whatever you wanted. So you can search for your hot topics. These are the really important things that are going on right now that everybody's watching. Sometimes they're really silly. You can find people. And again, we hope you'll add us to your network. And if you have an internet-capable phone, you can go do that right now, and then you can tweet, and we could all be tweeting while Emily is talking again. We would never do that. So some teachers, and again, this might be more college-level age thing, but some teachers have asked all their students to add Twitter and add it to their phone, and then they do things like, reminder, the test is tomorrow, and your 12-page assignment. Didn't you remember? And then and their students all go, ooh. Or, if you're following the Flight Library Twitter and I'm traveling and I go to a library and find something interesting, I could tweet about it, and you could read about the interesting thing that I was doing. Or the Library of Congress is a much more authoritative library, see what they're up to. And again, all those important people. And again, you don't need a computer to do this. You can do it right from your cell phone, just using text messaging. You would just add your mobile device here. This is Stacy's phone number. Shh. I didn't do that. All right. Oh, yeah, it's true. And there have been several conferences where people they'd agreed on one of these tags ahead of time. And so they would have like an entire second discussion going on about the topic, going on Twitter while somebody was presenting, or maybe during a roundtable or something like that. And I think it was also a great way that if like you were upset about something or offended by something, but you didn't want to put yourself out there, you could be kind of, tweeting about it anonymously. So this is one of those tools that the people who invented it had no idea. They just invented this interface, and it like completely took off on a mind of its own. There are thousands of other applications, online applications that work with it that make it do even neater things than what it does by itself, and it's pretty neat by itself. And of course, you can set your settings to private if you want. Protect my updates. But in that case, only people that you add to your as followers, it'll send you an email saying, "Is this okay?" And you could say, "I don't think I want the Koji commercial to be." I don't know who they are, but you can decide who's able to follow you or not. So you could add just your students, or you could say no students are following my Twitter, or you could search for other educators, or almost anything. And again, it's just a really dynamic, interactive, neat tool. Yes?
Okay, so you know how you can set up blogs? You can have like 3 or 4 blogs for home, education, friends, or whatever. Can you do different Twitters? So you can have a Twitter for school, a Twitter for home, a Twitter for friends?
You can. You can set up as many as you want. You can only associate your cell phone with one of them. However, I figured out a really neat trick to get around that. So if you want to find me afterward, I can kind of tell you what I did, because that was my big tech issue yesterday that I crunched. And if you do join us right now, then Stacy and I are tweeting like as we speak. And yeah. Any questions? Any other questions? No? Fantastic. And I give you back to Emily.
So this really is the last tool, or the last tools, because I'm kind of going to cover 2 very quickly. The main thing I wanted to talk about was Facebook. I don't often think of it as a tool, but you can use it as one. It is not just a place for me to play Scrabble with my mom. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And if you haven't created a Facebook account and you want to, anyone can make it. Like everything else we've showed you today, it is free. You know, you just fill in your name, your email, a password. You might have to prove later on that you're a human being and not a robot. But that's all it takes. So I'm just logging in, and this is my Facebook news feed. These are all the things that my friends, my Facebook friends, have decided are worth posting to Facebook. This is a lot like what we were just looking at in Twitter. Did someone? Yes, this is one of our coworkers who is my friend on Facebook. And you can use Facebook to keep in touch with your coworkers, or with, you know, if you meet someone at a conference and you want to keep tabs on this person. I want to know if they have any new research interests, because maybe I'm interested in that too. It's just a great way to get in touch with people and stay in touch with people pretty much effortlessly. You can't lose an email address if they're your Facebook friend, because you'll always be able to find them again and say, hey, what's your email address? Oh yes, Mari is reminding me that on the handout we gave you all, there's actually an interactive portion, and we're asking you all to put down, I think, your name and your email address, and get 5 people around you to do the same thing on your sheet. And then you can all go back, and if you don't have a Facebook account yet, you can create one, and these are people who you might want to network with, so you can friend each other on Facebook and already have a network started. Let's see. Another thing, the big thing I think with Facebook, if you wanted to use it for a class, you might not want to be friends with your students, or you might not want your students to be friends with you. There is such a thing as too much information, and if they were posting what they did over the weekend, you might not want to know. So you can get around this and still have a place for you to meet in Facebook and discuss things and upload videos and pictures, which is a great thing that Twitter doesn't really have, but Facebook does. You can do this by creating a Facebook page or a Facebook group. I'm mostly going to talk about groups. Pages and groups in Facebook are very, very similar, and I've got a link on our Delicious that explains the difference to you. It's not much of a difference. So if you want to search for a group for something that's interesting to you, you can say, I want to find groups about teachers. I just typed it into the search box at the top of the screen, and I only want to see groups. And you can see there are groups for teachers, and this one has 766 members. You can go in, you can join it, just click join this group. And you can start talking to people on the discussion board. There's a wall that you can post things on, all sorts of great stuff. If you want to create your own group, say just for a class, and you can make a group private. These are all open groups that anyone can join, but you can make it so that only specific people can join. You would go to facebook.com/groups/create.php. And this is another thing that I have bookmarked for you on Delicious, so that if you want to create a group once you've got a Facebook account, you can do it. You just name your group, you decide whether you want it to be available globally or just to people on a certain network. You type a description of it. For education, I think there's an education. No? Well, it could be a student group. You fill out all this, click Create Group, and that's it. You've got a space now where you can decide if people can upload pictures or not. And it's just a place to interact, maybe send out notifications to your students that, hey, we have a test coming up. So that's kind of where I was going with Facebook, some possible uses you might put it to. If we get out of here, though, because I know Facebook is blocked for a lot of schools, there are alternatives to Facebook. And the one I wanted to show you today is Ning. Ning.com is just another social networking site. It's a great one, though, because you actually have the ability to create your own social network, and it's a completely separate entity. They never even have to know it's Ning, I don't think. If you wanted to sign up, you would just sign up the same as you did for pretty much everything else today. I am going to sign in quickly. Oops, if I could remember the right email address. And you can see my social networks. I'm in 3 that are all Ning social networks. If you want to create a new one, you just click Create New Social Network. It's a lot like creating a blog. You get to pick the general sort of layout you want. This one here, Ferris Librarians, is one that I made a while back. And I got to pick pretty much everything about this. I got to pick the colors, I got to pick the layout, I got to pick who gets to join. Mari didn't want to join, apparently. But you can create your own, and it is an alternative to Facebook that gives you pretty much the same capabilities. It's a place where your students can go and upload files and talk to each other, and I think that can be really useful. Did I forget anything? No? That, then, is the last thing I was going to show you. I'm going to hand you back over to Stacy, and then hopefully we'll have time for questions.
Well, we've showed you probably maybe too many Web 2.0 tools. I just wanted to tell you, first of all, you got to know these are the things of the moment, right? They're going to change. Some will be around for a long time, some won't be. But the point is that at the root of all of these is that collaboration and that interactive and the desire by the part of the students to use a lot of these technologies. You may be new to this idea of collaborating in this way and sharing this type of information, but so you may be uncomfortable with the fact that this is all new to you, but you are professionals. You have personal and professional experiences that you have acquired up to this point in your life. So you have information and knowledge to share. So with your students and with other people, other colleagues. And once again, remember, your students may know a lot about these things, but they still need help learning how to wade through a lot of this information. Talked a lot about helping them figure out whether things are appropriate and with analysis and that critical thinking that they need to learn how to deal with these things. I know there's a lot of controversial issues, but the fact is it's there. I think we may just need to help them figure out how to navigate it in an appropriate way, because I don't know that we can completely block them from everything. I mean, I do have a daughter myself, so I understand. I'm dreading that, but I do think that might be where we have to go with some of this, as we have to, and so that's why I encourage you guys to learn about it, so you know what people are talking about and what they want to use, and you can decide how you can help them learn how to use it. And in fact, I was listening to one of you talk about the Hopcat and talking about if you're going to go into a career in hospitality and word of mouth. I don't know who, but Twitter, for example, is an excellent way to get people. You say, hey, I went to this really great restaurant, and tell everybody, and then they tell everybody. And so, even if you were helping them devise a marketing plan for a business class, these are things that they know about, and you can go, hey, yeah, remember, this is a really good PR source. So even if it's not educational, it's still something that's helpful for them to know about and for you to know about. So there are lots of applications. Yeah.
Just going to mention, that's how the individual created the zombie walk downtown.
Yeah.
It was Facebook.
Yeah.
4,000.
Right, yeah, he's doing a lot of that kind of thing, and I believe that the art contest is on Facebook as well. So, and I'm sure there's tweets out there about that. I wouldn't be surprised. So our challenge to you is to join the conversation, and try some of these things. You don't have to do all of them. Nobody could. And you can try them, and you may find you don't like some of them and that you do like some of them. For example, I check Twitter and Facebook occasionally, but I check my blog lines, which is my blog reader, every day. So, it's just what works for you. And it's a really exciting way to find experts in your field and authors, like Mari said. Your students can actually email somebody who's extremely knowledgeable about something, and they may actually write back. And and they may have a Facebook account, and you can actually, it's exciting what students actually can have access to and find out about. So our challenge to you is to join the conversation and help your students join the conversation. There's a lot of information out there for us to share and learn about. So now we can take questions. stepping away from the microphone. Oh, Mari has something to say.
Again. I really do. So this page we gave you is just a way to encourage you to join us outside of like this. Again, we're talking about collaborative mediums, but in a really static form, in a presentational form. So please come and join us on Delicious. And we've got a Ferris Facebook page for Ferris for the Teachers Academy. So add us on Facebook, friend us on Facebook, as they say. We have that YouTube channel. We have our Twitter that I think we're planning to try a lot. And again, do get the names of people around you to add them on Facebook so that you can be in touch with your colleagues after today.
You've spent all week together, right?
Well, then
No?
you definitely want to know them.
Okay. So, anybody have questions?
For great ideas. Yes?
This quick question, could you use a blog slash comments the RSS feed?
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I decided to cut out explaining what RSS was to save time. RSS is what I was showing you with Google Reader. That actually uses RSS technology to put all of those blogs into one place so you can check them all in one place. So RSS stands for really simple syndication, and it's just a way that most blogs have it automatically so that someone can subscribe to it like that.
So basically, well,
We're like Wikipedia.
once you have a blog reader, whenever you see that little orange tag right there, you can just click on it, and it'll usually open up a menu, and it'll say, where do you want to read this? And it'll give you like the 4 biggest blog readers there are, and then you go, oh, I use Bloglines, for example, or Google Reader, and then you click on it, and it just adds it automatic. If you're logged in, it'll add it automatically to your blog reader. So whenever you see that little orange symbol, that means you can just click on that and go right to it. Oh, yeah, like that right there. That's a good way to know if like that article has changed. You just, yeah,
go
go
for
ahead.
it. I didn't log out.
Oh, you did.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Explain Wikipedia where all the information comes from.
It comes from people.
Oh.
Just from people? It comes from people who have decided that they want to add that information. They are supposed to cite their source. It's not supposed to be any original research. And it is actually pretty regulated. I mean, people will go in there and fix things pretty quickly. You can edit it, but if it's factual and it's incorrect, it gets corrected pretty fast. It's where it's opinions, that's where you're going to have to be careful. But they're supposed to cite their sources. It's truly supposed to be a secondary source with references and citations. And you'll see that actually if you open up right here, like this one has multiple issues. It needs references for verification. Its neutrality is disputed. It requires general cleanup. Yep.
There's a couple things with Wikipedia. For the really hot button topics, they generally have an expert in the field who is watching it. And some of the really, really hot ones, we all know what they are, but they're locked down. So you have to ask permission to update it in that case. During the election, the political websites, they had somebody who was considered an expert in that field, is anonymous, but is watching it and will correct any kind of things that come up and really quickly. And the thing that I like to tell students is, Emily is editing this. Let's not do that. We're not experts on teachers. Woo. So you do have to be careful. Let's see. Okay. So whatever the topic is, they will have these I tell students this is a great way to kind of center yourself, especially if it's a totally new topic. Just kind of get a brief overview. It's great for that, and it'll have often great pictures. And but not to trust anything, but they're probably not going to lie about where Belgium is. But then, when you go to the list of citations and external links, if you actually follow the citation and you find the primary source that it's citing, then that's not made up. So this is like a kind of an interactive bibliography. It's a great starting place to go to get materials. And you would want to cite it if you used it, but you would say, for general purpose only, something like that. So,